Hey there and happy Monday evening. So we've had a great and successful day harvesting. The guys are still out at it. I started early this morning and actually got a reprieve from a friend that said that, hey, I'll help out after I get done with work. So he came, and everybody's farm equipment is a little bit different. And so I trained him in on all the equipment, all the stuff. I won't even say what it is, but I think he's got it, and I haven't heard any differently, so I'm just going to pretend all is well out there. And I came home, and my garden is still producing. So if you live locally, you know we had a super warm week last week, like almost 90 degrees, which is unheard of. And so I just let my tomatoes keep ripening. So picked a huge Stampin' Up! Box. Those boxes come in so handy. I don't know if you guys are a box saver, but I love the shallow Stampin' Up! Boxes for my garden produce. So I just took that box out there, filled it up with tomatoes and actually some green and red peppers. So that's kind of fun, and my house smells like that tonight. I don't know if I'll get them processed or if I'll peter out because I still have an email to send out to you guys because kits are on sale. So today, tomorrow, and the next day, just 3 days, some kits are up to 30% off. I'll show you those here in a little bit just to give you an idea. But I'm here to make a card. Loving the fluffy squirrel. Hello there, Lori. Thanks for joining in. And I'm going to make this card. So let me get my camera turned around. I just thought, oh, I'm going to pop on for you guys here. But let me start before I forget, because I'm good at like this fluffy squirrel bundle is like my life song, because like I have so many squirrel moments, right? Okay, so before I get too carried away, hopefully this light doesn't glare and it actually helps. So Stampin' Up! I just out of my inventory, I always have a ton of kits on hand. I love to bring a variety to in-person events, and Stampin' Up! Has a couple different kinds. So when you shop kits, it'll say card kits or craft kits maybe. So some are designed, like you can make home decor, but I have found that my people tend to love the card kits. So when I say there's a couple different kits, what I bring are the kind that have a little stamp set included, which you can use and keep over and over. So if you always are in need of birthday cards, this is a great kit. The Brightest Birthday Kit. You can make 9 cards, and they have the cutest envelopes always in the kits that are pre-decorated. You can see the cute balloons and all of that. So all of these pieces are like punch out pieces that you can do your stamping with. But look at all the stuff you get. You get the acrylic block for stamping. You get the embellishments. You even get tear-in tape. Like I said, cute envelopes and the stamp set, and then you get the coordinating ink spot that matches. So there's a lot to it. So 9 full cards, and then they're all at different price points. So all the kits are different price points, and all of them are on sale at different sale price points too. So that is a good idea of what one would look like with a stamp set and ink spot. And this is a good one of just assembly only. So this is Pop-Up Pals. And this one, I want to go bananas over it because it says go bananas. And so these are super cute. I don't think it has to be just for kids, but you can see like the cute little animals there. But like I said, you've got adhesive, you've got cute envelopes, and the card bases are decorated so fun and bright. And so what you do with this one is you assemble it, so when the card opens, then it pops up and you have those animals. This is like a $10 kit to start with, and I forgot to look to see how much it's marked down to with the sale going on, but you get the idea. So when I have these at my events, then I just tack on the shipping and the tax, and you pay just that. But if you're thinking, oh, I want just one kit, but I don't want to pay the $7.95 shipping for just one thing, let me know, because I'm always ordering if you know me at all, and I can bring it to an event, or if you're local, I can meet up with you. Don't let that stop you if you think, oh, I just want a couple kits. And with the holidays coming right around the corner, they have made great gifts too. And I'm always surprised with the kits too, how many of my avid crafters that buy stamp sets, the dies, the bundles, everything. I didn't think that kits would be a big deal with them. people, everybody loves the kits. And so that has been a surprise to me, because at first, like anything that maybe I'm not fully on board with, or don't think that you guys would be on board with, even if I am, then I'm always like slightly hesitant to market it or talk much about it. But now I get excited because I just hear the chatter at in-person classes about them. Even if I'm helping somebody else with something, they chat about the kits and how great they are. So that's just things that I'm passing along to you guys. But let me get started on this card. Hi there, Diane. And who knows, I might get called out for a field run or to move something or get somebody home or do something that way too. So I want to get started on this. I love the squirrel. Like I said, this fluffy squirrel bundle is super cute. And this paper, this looks a little different maybe than what you've seen. I keep using this autumn Toile paper, and I love it. So you've seen a lot of the more autumny looking papers that I've used. This is the back side of that kind of bright orange fox paper. Love the stripes. If you know me, I love stripes. Okay, so the card base is early espresso here, and before I put on this 3" by 5.5" strip, I'm going to do just a little bit more background stamping. So I'm going to get out my early espresso ink pad here. And let's just pull over my really messy inked up scratch piece of paper. Sometimes it makes me feel productive if I bring over one that's like totally inked up, because then it makes me feel like I've been doing lots of stuff. Okay, I should actually probably show you the stamp set. It is in the mini catalog, and I forgot to bring that over. I was excited about the kits collection sale. Like I said, I haven't even got the email out because of harvest and different things, but Fluffy Squirrel in the mini catalog. And this is the little scratch here that I'm going to be using. And people at a class are like, what is this for? They see it on the table, think it should be used, and so I'll show you that. I love the little verses, and then the squirrels can face each other, but there's only one punch to punch out the squirrel that's facing this way. So that's the one that I'm going to use today. So I'll show you that. So here's those little, I call them scratches. That's the technical term for them. So I'm just going to like ink up once and stamp a couple times in different directions and such, just kind of along the edge, trying to catch some further in, further out on both sides here, just to give it some texture. And it always dries a little bit lighter too. So I've got that already done. Hopefully you can see that on camera. Otherwise, this is kind of what it looks like. It kind of looks like in cartoons when the cartoon characters fight, and then they have like sores or something, and then it has those little X's and such on their skin or fur or whatever to make it look like they are hurt. Hi there, Julie. Good to see you on here. All right, so that little added extra background, I think it just adds so much to get rid of the dull blank space there, even though we are using designer series paper. So like I said, I'm just going to flip this over. I've been using this autumn Toile paper for a lot of different looking projects, and it never gets old. I'm always excited to pull it out. I did see it was on the non-orderable for right now list, and so I've been checking on that because it said it should be in this week, and so I keep looking like, okay, this week today's Monday. So far nothing in today, but if you are busy and want me to keep checking on it and let you know when it's in, I can do that. Otherwise, you can even go into the website, pull it up, and ask to be notified via email too, and that will notify you when that's back in stock too. Sometimes the system always isn't on top of things, but I've had people say, hey, let me know like when those really popular everyday dies, arch dies were in, and I got the notification right away so I could let people know. So that was exciting too, to see it work the way it's supposed to. Okay, so this is now, like I said, 3" by 5.5" on the front, and the next step is going to be adding the die here. I love the nested dies for kind of popping up focal points. So I'm going to run this through my cut and emboss machine here. Oh yeah, I forgot to grab a new top plate. You can see mine cracked on the edges. It's not so bad for this design because that's gonna stay there, but I won't want that. I don't know if it would scratch up or wreck an embossing folder. It could actually like make a crease or crack on my cardstock if it went on top of that, but I need to do that. That tells me I have been busy die cutting. Love it. Okay, so now we've got this from the Nested Essentials dies. And what I'm going to do next is take my early espresso pad and the tree stump, and I'm going to ink that about as far down as I can go without having the tree stump go off either side. And this is my disclaimer. If you know me, anytime I use my blends, it is because I'm using my Memento Black that doesn't allow the alcohol markers to like lose the shape of the image, and that is what you should do. Every once in a while I break the rules, and sometimes I do it because in a class it's hard to tell. This almost looks like it's black even though it's early espresso. So if I have a black and an early espresso, sometimes even though I'm using for this project early espresso and basic beige, sometimes people can get all that mixed up. So what I do is try and limit sometimes the number of ink pads I use at my classes for a certain project, just so that that doesn't get confusing for you. So do as I say, which is use your Memento Black, not as I do, which I used early espresso today. And it's not the biggest deal. Sometimes certain colors will kind of bleed out more than others, and if you let it set and dry also before you add your Stampin' Blends, you'll have better results as well. So I'm coloring this in now with the Neutrals Stampin' Blends, and I'm using the 200 and the 600. So I just put down the 600 as the lighter color, and then I'll go back with the 200 for the darker. And then what I like to do is just follow over those darker marks that the Stampin' Up! Artist put on the stump for kind of that aging look there. So makes that stump come to life there. All right, and then I'm just going to kind of set that aside, and now we're going to work on our squirrel. And the squirrel's pretty big, so I want to make sure I have my Stampin' Pierce mat out because it's a larger image and it's photopolymer. I have better luck for two-step stamping if I ink up the outside first and stamp that. So we've got the outside of the squirrel stamped in early espresso, and then I'm going to come back with basic beige and then fill that in. So as you can see, this is a pretty large stamp, so that's where the Stampin' Pierce mat comes in really well. I had people get nervous about this. There's usually some give as far as seeing that there's some lighter spots, and you'll see there's supposed to be white there and there. Sometimes my eyes didn't get perfect, but I thought good enough. And another thing with the basic beige, like you think beige, and a lot of people went, oh, it's green. And most people freaked out about how green the ink pad looks and how green he turns out. But even, gosh, I should have done it right away. You can see the difference in color from this to that. So if I let this dry for like 5 minutes, it's going to calm down. And this is basic beige cardstock, so you can see it ends up looking very similar if given time. So even with the blends, a lot of people kind of, I don't want to use the word freak out, but kind of like, I think even I do sometimes, like, oh, that's not the color I wanted it to be. But then I always say, maybe just walk away, or, you know, finish that email you needed to send out, because then when you come back, it is then eventually that color that you want after it gives that 5 minutes of setup time. So that's usually my recommendation that way. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is flip over my cute little furry fluffy squirrel here and put some dimensionals on him, like so. Oops. There we go, got those on, and then I'm going to put him on the stump like that. So we've got that, and now I'm going to flip him over again, and this is part of it, like I'm kind of doing this part first so I can see like that's going to go over the edge. So I'm actually going to double dimension so that the squirrel tail doesn't kind of flop over the edge. And then I'm going to add some more dimensionals kind of going down here, like so, over the back of the nested essentials dies. And then I'm going to kind of just line this up on the line there on the stripe. And I want to make sure I leave enough space for the sentiment, but I don't want the tail to go off the card either. So it's kind of taking shape, as you can see. And let me bring over like a 7/8 inch white, basic white strip here for the sentiment. And I love the sentiment, go nuts, it's your birthday. And some people have stamped this out and then just with the scissors cut the go nuts part, because sometimes they just want to send cards that say that, not even for birthday. And then next I'm going to take this cute little acorn and I'm going to stamp him up. I'm going to see this punched out with the squirrel. I'm going to see if I can get that on there straight. Oh my goodness, that turned out good enough for me. Okay. Because it does stamp at the same time. Otherwise it's easy to put on there. And actually I'm going to stamp out the little gift because we're going to put that in the squirrel's hands too. So I'm going to go back with these same two neutrals, Stampin' Blends, the darker being the 200 again here, and I'm going to go over the top of the acorn. So these are the same two colors that I used for the stump, but I feel like they might look different just because I'm coloring them on the basic white versus the basic beige too. So that might give it a different look too. So that's kind of my disclaimer there. And I'm just gonna grab my trimmer here. Sometimes I like to cut just by eyeing it, but when it's, you know, when I've got this, why not have it be even, right? So I've got that like so, and then this still looks just like it's wet for some reason, which I'm surprised. And usually I don't try to have my ink pads too juicy wet because people squish down on them so hard anyway. So I'm going to go with cutting out my present here. So this is one stamp that does need to be die or hand cut, excuse me, fussy cut. There's no die or punch for that, but it's almost square. It's just kind of getting around the cute little bow on there like so, and then just kind of cornering the edge and cornering the edge, and then we've got that done. So that doesn't take long. Usually if I require fussy cutting, I try and keep it easy for people. All right, so this is coming together. I think I'm just going to go ahead and color in my gift too. So I've got Balmy Blue. I'm going to start with the darker of the Balmy Blue, and I'm going to go over the entire bow that's on top of the present, and then the stripe going down. And then I'll fill in the rest with the light Balmy Blue. And I'm not going like in camera zoom because this is pretty basic coloring. I'm not doing really any blending, even though I'm using the blends. So I've got that for the present, the dark and light Balmy Blue, and here is a close-up of the cute little acorn. I just love it. Okay, so now this I know is ready to go. So I'm just going to put a couple dimensionals here like so, and it's going to overlap that nested essentials dies there. So I'm going to put just a tad bit of adhesive on that like so. There we go. Make sure it's straight, and it's so easy to make it straight because you have stripes. Not always meaning that I'm going to get it straight, but it helps me. Okay, and now with these two little embellishment stamped pieces. I'm going to take out my minis, my mini dimensionals. Been using a lot of them this fall, and part of it is the cute little squirrel and accessories, the acorns that go with that. Okay, so now this little present's gonna feed right underneath his paw, and then his paw kind of helps hold it down even though it's popped up on the die. And hi there, Donna. And then here we've got one little acorn that's going to go underneath with the Go Nuts, It's Your Birthday. And for embellishments, I'm loving these streaked dots. And so I'm going to pull them out. These are an online exclusive. Well, are they? I always get the two mixed up. There's one that's online and one that's part of the suite. Actually, this is part of the suite. This is part of the autumn suite. And then the other one that looks great with the squirrel for different projects too are the Cajun Craze and Gold Dots, which I always like to show because these are kind of a hidden gem, online exclusive. So if in the search bar you put in Cajun Craze and Gold Dots, this will pop up and you'll get those. People have been loving those. Now I need my take your pick tool, so I'm just going to grab one of the larger of the streak dots and put that down here, and then just grab a couple of the smaller sized ones and kind of, oops, I'm going to scoot that over. I kind of want it to be close to the same angle as the nested essential die there. So we've got that going on. Hopefully you can see that. And then for the inside, I'm just going to take my basic 4 by 5 1/4 inch basic white piece here. And I love this. May you gather happiness. And that's stamped in early espresso, and then just going to go back with another acorn. You could actually put even a couple down here if you wanted to. May you gather happiness, because if you're gathering, I suppose you need more than one acorn, right? And I'm not going to take the time to color those in. Of course, if you're making your own card, you sure could. Sometimes I like just having it look a little different on the inside, but yet still coordinating. Make sure that's all squared up and even. All right, so there we go. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, I've been having, like I said, so much fun with the fluffy squirrel. It's ridiculous how much joy that sometimes the cute little critters bring me and Stampin' Up! Puts out there for us. And I don't know, I think like there's just something about the squirrel. It's perfect for fall, so it's good timing to have that come out. But yet, I don't know, I think I would want to use it all year round. I don't know. And like I said, I have so many squirrel moments, so it's fitting for me. Like I would want to use it all year round for that. All right, so I'm going to post the still shot of today's card with the instructions, or more like a recipe of what I've all used to put the card together. And then I want to turn around and get an email out just as a reminder to you guys about the kit sale that's going on for these 3 days. So hopefully I can get all that done yet tonight before I get called out to the field or something. So take care. Thanks so much for those of you that have been taking the time to jump on Facebook Live, catching my YouTube videos, because I post them there as well too, which is always my reminder. They're only going to be on Facebook for 30 days. They will stay on YouTube much longer. So just want to let you know that too. Take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.